So the Olympic Games are just a few months away, less than 150 days to the big games in Paris 2024. And obviously, as South Africans, will be behind Team SA all the way, hoping that this time around they can get the medals in, they can get the gold, they can get the silver, the bronze, whatever they have to do. And one of the people that, or upon whom the hopes of South Africans will be laid, is Shaun Maswanganyi, who is joining me now from Houston, Texas. And he is part of the athletics team, the track team for South Africa, which normally performs at the back end of an Olympic Games. Shaun, thank you so much, my brother, for joining me. How are you?
Thank you for having me once again, and I'm well, thanks, and yourself?
I'm good, man. How's the US? How's it treating you? What's going on there? Are you ready for the Olympics? Let's go straight there.
I mean, we're shaping up to it. Right now, I just finished my indoor collegiate season. Many people might not know in South Africa, but here sometimes we have some track meets indoors. You never really hear much of it. I didn't really know much about it, even when I still started athletics when I was still in South Africa. But, once I got here, it was a whole different system, whole different program altogether. But in terms of preparation, I use indoor to set me up for outdoors. And right now, I just had my best collegiate indoor season yet. And, I think it was I didn't have the ending I wanted at the championship because I got sick the week of. But, just looking overall in terms of my consistency and my performances, I ran the national record in the indoor 200 as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to what I can run outside.
You're in the US, and a lot of people might not know why. Tell us about that.
Oh, so I'm US based because essentially I wanted to find the right balance between my academics and athletics. And I knew that it was going to be very difficult for me to pursue finance or economics in South Africa while still trying to run athletics in a competitive level, in a world-class level. And, I mostly see a lot of athletes who try to do that in South Africa, try to be a student athlete. They'll have to study slightly easier courses, slightly easier degrees, just to get by because of their rigorous schedule. So, fortunately for me here, I have a lot of advisors, I have a lot of resources that I can capitalize to minimize the amount of schoolwork I miss, even when I am competing at the highest level. So, it's really all about resources and how much access you have to them. I just remember being in South Africa and, all my high school teachers tell me that professors in university, they don't care. It's either you get the job done or you don't get it done. It's simple. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how many commitments you have. You can be the next Springbok. If the assignment's not in by Tuesday 9 p.m., it's not in. So I think here we have a little bit more leeway. We have more freedom in the sense that we always have opportunities to make up work as well. So it's not as rigorous, but at the end of the day, you still have to study. You still need to make sure you're doing your work.
Yeah, and in terms of track athletics, how is it? Is there any particular reason that you would say this is the best move for me in terms of my career? Is it better than anybody else in the world?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just the collegiate system in general is one of the most competitive leagues in the world. Well, it really is, because you're getting guys who are performing at a world-class level. You look at the NCAA Indoor Championship within the last couple of years, the times these guys are running, they're better than a world championship, at some cases. I mean, to win the 400 this year indoors, you needed to run 44.5, and the kid who ran the world record 3 weeks ago. Then he doubled back in 3 weeks, and then he ran 44.6 or 44.7 indoors. It's very hard to do that. And these are some solid performances. World champs itself, I think you only needed a 45.1, 45.0 to win. So, you look at the other years with the 60 meters as well, you can run very competitive times and not win. I mean, I ran 991 last year outdoors, which is, second fastest time in South Africa. I came third in that meet. It's just incredible, the amount of like world-class performances, they are on a year-to-year basis. There's never a year the NCAA is just, it's quiet, it's dry. And I knew that I needed that type of competition for me to be able to level up, because, in South Africa, there's only a handful of us. Really, it's only, me and Akani and Gift right now who are the current sub-10 runners, right?
Yeah.
But coming to the collegiate system, every other weekend I'm facing somebody who's ran sub-10 or sub-20. And we have that constant competition. We're always trying to get better, and we're just learning how to deal with that pressure and getting the races underneath us with the right competition. Because some of these guys we see in college, we're also going to see them at the World Champs.
So in a year like this, Shaun, Olympic year, big year, you work for 4 years. Athletes work in 4-year cycles to try and get to the next Olympic Games. But in the year itself, the Olympic year, what changes? What is there any particular intensity that you now need to take up to make sure that you're ready come July?
I mean, in a sense of training, definitely had to up the intensity a bit more, because obviously now we're trying to push the body to new limits and new boundaries. So working out wise, we definitely did a lot more. Every year we just have to do a lot more to get in that same type of shape, if not better, preparation wise. And we made sure that this year, for example, we didn't run as many races. So when I look at where I am this week of the year, compared to other years, I've ran way less races than before. My freshman year, my first year in university, I ran quite a lot of races because my coach wanted to develop me and wanted me to race more so I can understand what he's trying to teach me. And as the years went by, the goal was to run less races, because now you know what to do. And all it is right now is just like when you get in a race, it's all about just getting your race sharpness back. But in terms of experience, you have that experience and you just keep building from it. So I try to keep it consistent in the sense that when I train and compete, I don't travel too much, because the traveling back and forth, first of all, it fatigues you a lot more. On top of that, you miss a lot of quality training days. It's all about getting in the right amount of quality training days, because just traveling and stuff, you still need to give your body time to rest. You can't just be on a flight for 16 to 20 hours. You go land somewhere and then you go train that day. You can't do that. Your body needs to recover. Otherwise, you're going to be injury prone or injury risk. So there's many factors we have to consider. Even just the track meet in America, everywhere is far here. You can drive 10 hours and still be in Texas. It's crazy, because 10 hours you can almost go from Joburg halfway to Cape Town. So, but here you're still in one state. You're still basically in Gauteng. It's definitely something you gotta learn to adapt to. But obviously, like, the more we travel, the more we compete, the more experience I get. That's why whenever in the American summer, or like in the winter times in South Africa, and I compete in all these meets in Europe and China and so forth, I can compete. I can go there alone because I have that experience. Not many people can just hop on a flight and go compete wherever and then figure everything out by themselves. But once you have that experience, you learn to spread your wings. It becomes a lot easier to deal with. You know how to handle yourself.
But then this is now you on your side and your coach in the US trying to get you ready for the Olympic Games. What happens then back home? What's the preparation like? What needs to be done by those here in South Africa to make sure that Team South Africa is ready?
I mean, in a sense, we all have coaches, and I think every coach who's coached athletes, who have the capabilities of being Olympians, knows what it takes to get to this level, And like you look at Akani Simbine has always been based in South Africa. He's always performed at the world-class level, and he's one of the most consistent sprinters in our current time right now. So he knows what it takes to get there. I look at guys like Clarence Munyai, I look at guys like Gift. They know what it takes, and it's just the difficult part is resources, and that will always be the main challenge until obviously more money is invested in these areas of sports. Like, sports needs investments. You look at how much money these guys spend in universities, and it's like, one university spends more in an athletic department than our whole country probably spends on sports, and it's obviously due to resources. They have more access to funds here. They have more donors who are willing to give back to the programs, et cetera, et cetera. So it's easy to develop sports here. And that's what we need to get South Africa to reach one day, ultimately, because then we'll retain more of our athletes. You look at the best guys in the collegiate system, they're all from everywhere across the world. A lot of Nigerians, a lot of Kenyans in the collegiate system. And, these guys, obviously, they leave the home country because they don't have the resources. And they do this to be able to prepare themselves. They perform at the world class, and then they go back home, and they try and give back, and, they try to uplift, et cetera, and give back in that sense. So, in a sense of preparation, South Africa, before I got here, I just had to do what I could do with what I had and try and make a way.
So, basically, Fagimalu Zobon.
Yeah, you have to bet on yourself. You have to bet on yourself, because if you don't bet on yourself and you're not gonna yield results. Because same thing with me. When I started athletics in South Africa, and I tell people, I'm like, I didn't have when I first started, I had to buy my own spikes. I had to make sure I had enough practice clothes. I would be there at the Nike outlet store trying to get stuff there on cheap. I'm like, oh, okay, because at the end of the day, I knew how much my mom was sacrificing for me to get to go to the school I went to. So I'm like, I'm going to make sure I make every opportunity count. So every sport I did, I made sure I was performing at the best level, and which I did. I mean, I played Blue Bulls under 16. I was one of the top basketball players in my team. So I was trying to make sure that, I made a way somewhere, and just to have that opportunity, to go to a good school that allowed me to have all these opportunities was a blessing. So, South Africa is really, it's special in the sense that we have so much talent, but we can't capitalize on that talent without resources and investment.
Thank you so much for still sitting with us here on Newzroom Afrika channel 405. And we're sitting with Shaun Maswanganyi, a South African athlete who's based in the US. You might remember him as being part of the relay team that never finished. He was part of that team, believe it or not, and we'll quiz him about that and what exactly took place there. But Shaun, before we get there, let's talk about, we touched on the funding a little bit earlier. Let's talk then about what support you guys are receiving at the moment. Are you even receiving any support coming from home? And I'm talking financially to make sure that you guys are ready for Paris.
As far as I know, to my understanding, a lot of us aren't, especially this year. I was supposed to be on the development program, OPEX. And, I look at my performances in Tokyo. I finished top 10 in Tokyo and a top 15 in the 100. And, by those standards, I should have been at least tier 2. Because athletes like Akani Simbini, who, made finals and so forth, once you make a final in a world championship or an Olympic, you consider tier 1 because you're a medal contender. And that type of funding you get from OPEX allows you to be able to pay, for your coaches, travel with your coaches, flight tickets, etc., especially accommodation when you're competing in meets in Europe, when you're preparing for the games and so forth, especially right now as we approach June, July, close to the Olympics. That's where we're going to be really in Europe, and it's quite costly to be able to sustain yourself. So the only support I'm receiving right now is from my university, and as it stands right now, I can't work. So technically, I can't get paid to be an athlete in university, because that's how the NCAA collegiate system is. I can market myself and get brand deals and so forth, but even that on its own is very hard because I'm not an American citizen. I mean, my scholarship is worth around $70,000 a year. That's almost 1.5 million rand. That's how much my university is investing in me every year to make sure that I'm performing at my best every single year. And then we have my country who's gonna want the results at world champs and Olympics, but $0, But who's supposed to pump in that money, Shaun? I think it's between the federations, either between ASA and SASCOC. But because at the end of the day, they have the brand, the image, the tools to say, okay, you know what? We need to raise money. We need to find sponsors for this and this and this. Okay, let's go reach out to certain companies and let's market these athletes. So we tell them, because the thing is, what people don't understand is they don't know how to make money, in a sense that, like, if you want to be able to make money, you need to make money work for you. And I feel like the federations could be a lot more, how do I say, they could market the athletes more. In a sense, you can go to like Discovery and be like, okay, let's do a health in this type of clinic. We'll have athletes there. Let's do a partnership of some sort. You guys pay us a certain amount of money. We'll always make sure our athletes are there to, promote Discovery products, to do that type of a thing, And because that will boost a business like Discovery's image amongst the people. At the same time, the athletes are getting compensation, they're getting recognition, they're able to market themselves. So there's multiple ways in which you can capitalize on using corporate to finance federations and institutions in that way.
So why do you think then that SASCOC has not been doing that?
I just think because, like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's laziness, but at the end of the day, it's like no one is giving them these type of ideas, I'd say.
No, but I'm saying, do you think they are not doing everything they can to secure funding? And why do you think that? Why do you think they're not doing everything in their power?
I think because they've secured funding. When I read the article last year of they've been securing an OPEX deal worth 70 million rand, and then a further 16 million rand, that's almost 100 million, and 100 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and it's supposed to be amongst 100 athletes, give or take. They said they secured the funding around 60-70 million, and then a further 60 million. They said they've selected around 100 athletes to be a part of this program. Give or take, the budget, if you don't even consider in the tiers, because obviously tier 1 will get more than tier 2, tier 2 will get more than tier 3. Give or take, that would be around about 700K a person. That's just average. That's not.
But you're not receiving this.
I'm not receiving anything. So already I'm removed from that equation. I can tell you now, I never got a single rand from that. I get every time.
Are you supposed to be a part of the? Do you qualify for that funding?
Yes, because I was supposed to be tier 2 by standard. So first of all, it's tier 1. I think tier 1 is elite. So tier 1 is if you're top 15. So top 15, I finished top 15 at the Olympics in 2 events, and I should have, in theory, I think I should have been either tier 2, high tier 2, or low tier 1, because they were supposed to be developing me for 2024 and 2028. I have not received a single dollar for that, and other people got on the OPEX program later, and then I turned around and I was like, people in my federation was like, oh, like, you guys haven't contacted me about OPEX, and my teammates told me you guys would contact me by now, but I still haven't heard anything from you guys. And it's disheartening in a sense that, like, I have so much pride and so much passion for my country, but like the support is little to none. It's like when we go to a competition. I remember we went to the Olympics, and I think they gave us like 2,000 rand spending money. 2,000 rand. For the Olympics.
Per what?
Per person.
No. Like, this is per day.
No, like the whole Olympics, they gave us 2,000 rand.
2,000 rand or $2,000?
Rand. RANDS. I remember there was this. It was like a black envelope. It was all in 200s. I think it was like 10 200s.
Which games was this? Tokyo.
Olympics. Yeah, Tokyo. The money is there. We just don't know where it is or where it's going. Because, I mean, I can safely say, me and Clarence Alakani, we know we haven't received any OPEX this year. Some of them have received OPEX last year and the year before. But as far as I know to today, the last 3-4 months, no one has received anything, and the Olympic Games are less than 130 days away. Okay,
we'll try and get SASCOC onto to answer that and what needs to happen, or why exactly there hasn't been that sort of financial support coming through. But what needs to happen then, Shaun, for you guys to have a better Olympic Games than you had in Tokyo? And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you, or there was a statement made by particularly Akani that you guys are not gelling together because you meet at the big events.
Literally.
What needs to happen then?
So we had this conversation after World Champs last year, because last year in the World Champs, we were in the prelims, in the heats, first round. And, leading up to that, Paul Hoyes was our relay coach. And my coach, Coach Carl Lewis himself, he was there as well. And, at least we're able to, meet each other. They kind of gelled together, and, they were coaching us. And, we ran the first round 37-7-2 from lane 2. And we're like, we can actually have a podium finish in this, But when it came to the final, and obviously the thing is, you always run the first round with safe exchanges. So the marks which we leave from when our incoming runner hits, we play it safe, right? So just to qualify. And then in the final, in order to make up that extra ground, to drop the times a little bit, you have to stretch out the exchange zones a little bit, which becomes a little bit more riskier because now you have less time to pass the baton in the exchange zone, but then you kind of make up for it in terms of your time ultimately dropping at the end. It gets a little bit more complex, but simply said, I take off earlier when the incoming runner comes to me, so we can basically maximize the speed of the baton. So that will be the difference between 37-7 and 37-4 in the final. And 37-4 will win us the competition. So when we got into the final, one of the legs over there, he's not confident that I'm gonna catch him because we've not practiced at this distance. So he's a little bit he's a little bit anxious because he doesn't know if I'm gonna get there. But if we had enough practice reps, he would know I'd get there, So it's kind of like that thing. It's like we just needed to practice a lot more and more and more to know that, listen, dude.
So you were the one. Explain to South Africa. It was between you and who?
So in Tokyo, that was between me and Clarence Munyai.
Yes.
But they put me at second leg, and I had never ran second leg in my life. The only leg I really ran is either last leg or start. Those are the only two legs I feel comfortable running in, right? But that was Tokyo's exchange. We really had no practice day. We didn't even have a single, with me and Clarence, we didn't have a single one. But leading into the Olympic Games, I was practicing with Gift because we had a relay camp in Italy. So around that time, I don't know if it was ASA or SASCOC, but we had a relay camp in Italy, leading to the Olympic Games. We had one. And then around that time, I was practicing with Gift, but Gift got injured at the Olympics in the final or in the semifinal. So my first practice with Clarence was less than 24 hours before the competition. 5 p.m. Imagine practicing 5 p.m. tonight, and you run at 11 in the morning tomorrow. That's our first practice. And at that time, I ran 4 rounds, 4 different races, 4 rounds. My body's exhausted. And I can barely practice at 90%, 100% because my body needs to rest. And now I'm having my first exchanges with Clarence. Clarence also ran a couple of rounds of the 200. So it's we literally just going through the motion because we can't push ourselves too hard. Our body's already sore. So we barely had any practice in that sense.
As we wrap it up, Shaun, I just want to know, what do you need either ASA or SASCOC to do for that to not happen again?
So ASA, last year we had a long conversation with them, especially with some of the higher, the managers and stuff. They started relay camps, so we actually had more relay camps this year, leading up to the games, and they made sure there's multiple relay competitions which we can actually go to and practice. Unfortunately for me, I'm still in school and I need to finish my degree, so I can't just fly back and forth to South Africa to practice for these relay camps. Also, the fact of money. It's expensive to fly back and forth to South Africa. I don't have the resources to be flying back and forth. and South Africa would probably be strained as well because these flights are not cheap.
So Athletics South Africa has made an effort to organize some relay camps to make sure that everything is sorted for the games.
They've made efforts, for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, my brother. And we'll keep track, excuse the pun, we'll keep track with you heading to the Olympic Games. And good luck to Team South Africa. Hopefully, we at the very least can finish the relay.
Yeah. Thank you, boss.
Meanwhile, Newzroom Africa reached out to Sascock, who in turn directed us to the door of Athletics South Africa.